Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and we are going to do another album spotlight today. In my album spotlight series, I kind of want to focus on bands, kind of marginalized albums that aren't they're necessarily their classic records, but ones that are slightly marginalized that I think are great, that maybe are in the back half of their catalog for most people. Today we're talking about Led Zeppelin. And what album could I be talking about Led Zeppelin? Maybe slightly misunderstood or underappreciated, and that would be In Through the Outdoor, their 1979 release. So this is the band's final proper studio album. It was released in 1979. John Bonham would pass away, unfortunately, in December of 1980. And, in 1982, they would release a compilation of some unreleased stuff called Coda, but we're not going to include that. This album came out in brown paper bag with a track listing and the Zoso symbol. The Swan Song symbol, which was a record label. This is supposed to represent like a bootleg, an unofficial recording. And then you get to this fantastic cover, which is supposed to be the old Absinthe House in New Orleans, but it was actually done in a London studio. Hypnosis was the art director, the company that did many, many great album covers, including Presence, including the UFO album covers, including High and Dry by Def Leppard. Really, the whole, this artwork was passed around a lot of Hypnosis stuff to lots of bands who took album covers as they chose. Anyway, we are going to run through this record. Here's the back. Song by song. And, this is a great record. So let's talk a little bit. Again, this is the last record that they would do in John Bonham's life. And really the plans were to follow this record up with more of a guitar heavy and drum heavy album. That's what Bonham and Page wanted to do. This record represents a departure, more of a hit-oriented album with shorter songs, concise songs, keyboard-driven songs. In 1975, Robert Plant broke his ankle and elbow in a car accident while on vacation with his family. His wife was injured. His kids were banged up a little bit. After recovering for a couple years, unfortunately, in 1977, while on tour in the United States, Robert Plant finds out that his son, Carrick, his small child, had died of an illness that was quick and unfortunately fatal. And, he was devastated, as one would be. This is the follow-up to the Presence album, and it took some time to do. It was recorded in late 78, and then finally mixed and mastered and released in August of 79. Obviously Zeppelin's material up to this point, it was pretty guitar-centric, heavy, considered hard rock or metal. There were some things on Presence that were hinting at this type of music. But let's get into this. It opens up with a song, In the Evening, which is a favorite of mine, with that kind of coarse phalange on the voice and just really big into the hooks, with the drumming. Just an infectious song. This album starts off in a similar vein to what maybe came before Presence, and I kind of break this album up into three distinct parts, and we're going to talk about that. I would say that In the Evening and Carouselambra, that we'll get to, are one part, which is kind of a more vintage progginess. Houses of the Holy, Physical Graffiti, and Presence represent kind of a proggy area, a prog rock vein of Zeppelin's catalog. In the Evening is like that. The next song is Southbound Suarez, And, it's just such a cool, kind of vintage sounding rock album. Kind of reminds me of this cover. You know, you're kind of a Latin feel, obviously. He talks about that sweet con carne, sweet chili. Yeah, he's suggesting that she is like sweet chili. But just one of a track that maybe I didn't care for as much when I was a younger Led Zeppelin fan. Wanting that bombast, wanting communication breakdown, wanting heavy riffing of Immigrant Song. This is really showing off the keyboard virtuosity of John Paul Jones. And yes, Jimmy Page, like all other albums, is the producer of this record, but really this kind of feels like a John Paul Jones produced album. Lots of keys on In the Evening. And just a boogie-woogie feel on Southbound Suarez. A great song. The next song is Fool in the Rain. Again with the whistle blowing, and as they take it up, a key in the end with a drum outro. Just got that kind of Latin feel to it again. This song really shows off the chops of John Bonham. He was influenced by Gene Krupa. He was influenced by Buddy Rich. He was influenced by Max Roach. But he influenced other people, and he was influenced by Bernard Purdie. But Bernard Purdie, famous for drumming with Steely Dan and Aretha Franklin and other people, he definitely knew who John Bonham was. Bernard Purdie knew who John Bonham was. Lenny White from Return to Forever knew who John Bonham was. Alphonse Mouzon knew who John Bonham was. All the great jazz players knew who John Bonham was because he could play it, and it's very represented here on Fool in the Rain. Just a great track. And then Hot Dog, another kind of controversial song in the Zeppelin canon. Again, a song that when I was growing up, I didn't really care for. It was a skip song for me. It wasn't the hit that Fool in the Rain was, or All of My Love, and it wasn't as proggy as In the Evening or Carousel Alhambra. But my God, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I won't be going back to Texas no more. I mean, it starts out with a little kind of rockabilly guitar piece by Page, and then right into that, again, boogie-woogie, bluesy piano by John Paul Jones. They're just having fun. He tells a story. He's singing his own backups during the sing-along part. I love it. I love that Plant's got so many different types of vocal textures that he can use. He can do the main singing part, but then use another one of his falsettos to harmonize with himself. Because I don't think that John Paul Jones or Jimmy Page are singing on that chorus section of this song. Hot Dog is fantastic. Probably since I was in high school 30 plus years ago, Carousel Alhambra has always been my favorite song on this record because it's progressive. At the 6+ minute mark, it kind of goes into this dreamy atmospheric thing, and then rises back out into a taking up another key and really launches. Maybe Page's guitar is a little buried in the mix. I don't care, and a lot of the Led Zeppelin songs, they're a famous band for misunderstanding lyrics. We don't know what he's saying. And quite frankly, do we really care what he's saying? It's so groovy, the music. The next song, All of My Love, is such a good single, such a good hit song. Carrick had passed away in 1977. And that's what he's singing about here on All of My Love. My band, we've covered this song in the past, and just to learn the poetry of those lyrics is incredible. Again, upfront drums, piano by John Paul Jones, very upfront, very little going on with the Jimmy Page other than a little solo and some delayed, guitar. It's just beautiful. It, you know, you hear the 80s coming on this record. You really do on All of My Love. But more than that, the last song in this record, I'm Gonna Crawl. I hear what would be Ship of Fools off of the Now and Zen record. It's a blues again, but there's so much breath, there's so much space, there's so much air in it for, he's gonna crawl if he has to get back to her. We don't want Zeppelin doing love songs, really, do we? And there's love songs on this record. They're done so well. I know that this gets put at number 9 or whatever in the Zeppelin canon by a lot of people, but aren't you glad it exists? Aren't you glad that something so airy and spacey and almost desert rock as I'm Gonna Crawl exists? Aren't you glad that the jazz of Fool in the Rain exists? To hear Bonham do those things that he can do, the powerhouse, and All My Love, the tenderness, and some progressive rock like In the Evening and Carouselamba. Again, I'm grouping Carouselamba and In the Evening as kind of a proggy. I'm Fool in the Rain and All My Love. We're gonna kind of call the hits, and they are hits. They're still played every day on the radio. And then Southbound Suarez, Hot Dog, and I'm Gonna Crawl are kind of that rockabilly, old time rock. Remember, Led Zeppelin in 1970, 1969, they were ending their concerts with Long Tall Sally or an Elvis cover. They are very much, of course he would go on to do the Honey Drippers and do some old-timey rock and roll. You can hear it here, but boy, they do it well. He does a bit. He does the Buddy Holly, thing at the beginning of Hot Dog. Absolutely an ode to Buddy Holly. This is a great record. I'm not sure where it sits. I'll put my Led Zeppelin ranking in the description here. I'm sure I don't have this quite as high, but you know what? You're talking about a band that has an unbelievable canon of albums and just an immense history. And when you're comparing your albums to things like Led Zeppelin 2, House is the Holy, the self-titled, Physical Graffiti. I mean, this can only really be down. This is an amazing piece of work. Check out my channel, subscribe to my channel. We do shows every day. I want to thank Rich for coming up again with this album spotlight idea. We're going to do this once a week. I'm putting a couple out here this week just because, but we're going to get into some bands, lesser known works, and we're going to talk about them. Again, thanks to my subscribers. Take a look, like, share, subscribe. Peace out. We'll catch you later.